Late last summer, we were giving you some tips on how to tip layer raspberries and some other trailing plants in the garden, not only the fruit plants, but also some ornamental plants. And it might be a good idea to take a check on those if you haven't recently to see how they're coming along. Now, it still is a little bit early to try to transplant these because you need some more shoot growth on them, but I've been noticing some of ours out here in our garden are really beginning to put some pretty nice shoots up because of these warm days we've had during January. For example, we look at one right here and I can tug on just on the cane itself where we've buried it and find that it really has rooted down well. And as I look at it, there's just a little bitty green shoot that's just beginning to pop out of the ground here. And I know that if it stays this type of weather that we've had recently in January for the next 3 or 4 weeks, or actually about 2 weeks, we're going to have a pretty good shoot on these. But let's look at the roots on this one. I'm going to bury it back because I'm certainly not going to try to transplant this now, but we've got a really good root system that started on this. And of course, some of the shoots that are beginning to come up here, and this is going to make the top growth of the plant while the roots, of course, remain as the bottom part of the plant. And in about 2 weeks, we can cut this off and have a really nice plant here to transplant in the garden. So you may want to go out just sort of as a matter of interest and see how yours are coming in the garden. If you have already done that, well, then you know that they probably are getting along about like ours here. But if you haven't and you've done some tip layering like this, then it might be interesting to see how it's coming along. Here's another one that's got more of a shoot coming out than the one we just looked at. I'm going to clip that one off and go ahead and pull it on out just to look at it a little bit more closely. I'll just, again, want to transplant this one yet because we're still going to have some very cold weather, but that gives you some idea of what these plants are going to look like. And a little later on, when this one gets larger, we could transplant this to another part in the garden, or as we thin out the raspberries, maybe even keep them within our own row here. But if you've not done any tip layering before on the plants, such as the raspberry or some of the trailing ornamentals, it's really a nice way to start some new plants, not only for yourself, but also to share them with some friends. These bright, warm days we had during January have really brought the growth and the flowering out on our pansies. So I'm going to take the mulch off now for a few days and see if we can't even enhance the growth and the flowering a little bit by allowing it to warm up even more with the mulch gone. And also, it's a good idea to go ahead and give them a real light application of a water-soluble fertilizer. I don't want to give them too much because I don't want a lot of fast succulent growth on the pansies, but just a little shot of fertilizer water will really perk them up and give them, hopefully, the ability to bloom a little bit earlier, a little bit quicker, but also promote some more root growth. But an important thing is on the pansies is to keep this mulch close at hand here, so if we get some more cold weather, which we're surely going to do, then I can bring the mulch back over and mulch them over again. You know, if you planted pansies in the fall garden, you've noticed that they probably are really doing well now, but if you didn't plant them in the fall, you still may want to try some for this spring. It won't be too long, you'll be seeing pansies showing up in the garden center, so you may want to give some thought now to planting some pansies for some early color in a bright, sunny location in your garden this spring.
We hope you've enjoyed this classic from the Oklahoma Gardening Vault. Remember, even though these tips and techniques are timeless, there's always something new to learn in the world of gardening. By subscribing to both Oklahoma Gardening and OK Gardening Classics, you'll have access to a wealth of gardening knowledge, both classic and contemporary.